There's a rule called Section 321. It essentially says any package going to an end consumer is import duty free as long as the package value is under $800. So in this moment, we ship it, we're shipping it to your end consumer. So that package, as long as it's under $800, no import duties.
Hello there, and welcome to another episode of What's Working in E-commerce. I am your host, Egan Heath. I'm a partner at Asymmetric Marketing. You can check out some of the work we do for clients at asymmetric.pro. We build WordPress WooCommerce websites. We do SEO, Google Ads, Meta Ads, email marketing, marketing strategy, Amazon, and much more. So check us out over there. Today, I'm speaking with an expert in shipping, and I'm very excited to welcome on Izzy Rosenzweig from Portless. Izzy, how are you?
Doing great. Egan, thank you so much for having me. Very excited to be on the podcast.
Yeah, I see your site here, portless.com. Maybe tell people what that is and what you do.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been in e-commerce for over 10 years. And anyone that's been in e-commerce, the typical supply chain that most people are used to is what we call the Dinosaur supply chain, the supply chain that retail dealers use, which is you manufacture your polo shirt, you're putting on a boat, you're waiting 60 days on average to get to the States. Then you bring it over the border, paying import duties, driving it to U.S. facility. Only at that point are you selling it to your customer, getting cash for all that inventory and all that time you waited. And then you have a 4 to 7 day delivery. Portless takes a very different approach. We say, hey, we're actually based in Shenzhen. We're probably near your factory in China. If you're in Guangzhou, we're 2 hours away. If you're north or west, 2-3 days. But 2 to 3 days post your production, instead of putting on a boat, send it to us. If you would put on a boat, you'd be waiting until August to sell your product. But if you send it to us on May 24th, you can start selling your product by May 26th, 2 days later. And what will happen is at Portless, we connect to Shopify, WooCommerce, all the tech stacks. Orders come to us. We do pick, pack into envelopes, USPS label, and we'll have that product delivered at your customer's front door on average 5.2 days post that transaction. USPS driver, USPS packaging, a USPS label, fully local experience for the consumer, but game-changing for the brands. And we could dive into all the benefits of cash flow and gross margin as we go through it, but fundamentally, that is what Portless does.
Very interesting, very appropriately named then. I wonder if you could say about how did you discover this need, and then how do you do that? How do you skip that step, or how did you build this? I'm just curious about that.
As mentioned, I actually ran a consumer business. So I was running a brand for 10 years. If you think what Shein does for fashion, which is fashion direct logistics from China, we were doing it for the kitchen space. Now, and millions of packages we shipped in our brand. The thing is that if I'm doing this for 10 years, in the early days, it wasn't very sophisticated. It was like 3-week delivery. It would be Mandarin on your package, Mandarin on the tracking label. Customers would get confused. And we still did it because customers like to save money and gain efficiency from a brand perspective, but it wasn't as efficient. However, the last 3 years, the model has gotten crazy efficient. Now what we do is, as mentioned, we could do it within the 5-day delivery time. And fundamentally what happens is, so we have people's inventory in our warehouse in Shenzhen, order comes in, we'll pull it out of the shelf, we'll put it in a poly bag, that poly bag can be custom to the brand, USPS label, then we start doing sorting. So we say, okay, we're in the yesterday, and this is automated. So you're in LA, we should put that on one pallet. You're in New York, goes to another pallet. You're near Chicago, one other pallet. You're near Arizona, another pallet. And orders are piling up from all the different customers we service. And then we take these pallets and then we pass it over to cargo planes. And we buy cargo space. The flight's only 14 hours. And what we're doing is we're handing those packages to USPS near the customer. So if you're in LA, we're not handing it in New York and driving across country. We're actually handing it by LAX. And I'll take a second and I'll share my screen just to get an example. Here is an order that within 24 hours of the customer made the transaction, they got a USPS tracking number. This order came in May 20th. It was delivered May 23rd, 3 calendar day delivery. The average is 5.2 because this is near LA, right? So LAX, very quick. We see 3-day deliveries all the time. But the average across continental US is 5.2 days. Now, we have better delivery times than many American 3PLs. If you have a 3PL that's either West Coast or East Coast, and you're servicing the entire US, you're doing USPS ground in most scenarios. That takes a long time to drive things. So we actually have, that's essentially how we do it. We have very fast delivery times, 100% local experience. From the customer's perspective, as you saw, it looks like you have a distribution hub near all the airports, LA, Chicago, New York, Arizona, Texas, etc. That's why I've been doing it for 10 years as a consumer brand. And then over the last 2 years, I started doing this for other American brands and European brands. And now that's all that we do. We just do the logistics for American and European brands to help service their markets.
Yeah, that's amazing. I'm on the marketing side of things, so I'm not always conversant in all things shipping and 3PLs and this side of it, but I can tell just from what you're showing, it's very impressive of even 3 to 5 days or even more of right from China to customer's doorstep. Do I have that right?
Exactly right.
Wow, that's incredible. And maybe you could describe the before and after of if someone is not using Portless, what does their life look like right now? And then afterward, what changes? Because I think just to simplify it for that, maybe that's how 100%. We want to say it. Yeah.
So we aligned here what I showed you in the tracking number. Customers have no difference. So a customer makes an order yesterday when you weren't using us, today using us, honestly, same difference. You could actually make 2 transactions the same day on a brand that we service, brand we don't service. Very good chance, same driver, 2 packages at your front door. So let's talk about the brand. What are the benefits? So we say 3 buckets of benefits. Bucket number 1 is cash flow and inventory. Bucket number 2 is gross margin increase. Bucket number 3 is going global. So let's break down each one. Cash flow is simple. You have $500,000 in inventory. You couldn't have sold that inventory for 2 to 3 months. Now you're turning inventory to cash in days. So where would have had to wait to August to get money out of inventory, which is the most brutal thing for brands, you're actually getting money out of inventory 2 days post-production. Game changing. Then, did I need 10,000 polo shirts? I only needed it because I had an 80-day buffer, 60-day buffer. But if I'm near your factory, you could send a pallet at a time to restock. You could do 3,000 shirts, start turning that into cash, look at your demand, and then start producing. And you restock it much more agile. So A, how much money you have in inventory, how fast you're getting money back, truly life-changing for a brand. And think of Q4, you're sold out November 10th. As a marketer, you might have a brand say, stop doing this product. Unfortunately, we're sold out. We'll say no. In our model, keep selling. As you're selling, you go back into production. If you use a boat, yeah, you'd miss Christmas. But if you use us, 10 days later, you're back in business. And that is just simplicity of inventory and cash flow. Then we increase people's margins. Warehousing with us overseas is cheaper. Pick and pack rates are cheaper. There are no container costs. If the value of your goods are under $800, there's no import duties. Section 321, it's all import duty free, money to your bottom line. And shipping rates start at $5. Now, shipping rates are good for lighter items. So if you're under 3 pounds, 5 pounds, shipping rates will be cost effective and get all the other benefits. But it has to be like apparel, cosmetics, small electronics, stuff that makes sense for our model because we got to put it on a pallet. And the last part is we do this in 50 countries around the world. So we do UK, Royal Mail, Australia Post, any country in Europe. So if you think from a marketing perspective, CPM in the US is expensive. It's a lot of cutthroat marketing. But what happens if you open up UK, open up Australia, open up all these other markets around the world? CPMs are cheaper, CPCs are cheaper. Obviously, you got to make sure your conversion rate's just as effective, but we help you increase net revenue by going global and we simplify it. You don't need to put inventory around the world. One inventory hub. Now you got 50 places to do business in. And that's fundamentally yesterday versus today if you transition.
Wow. Thank you for talking about that. I was thinking you were going to say this is a speed and cost thing. It sounds like that's part of this too. When you got into cash flow, this is changing the cash flow cycle. This is changing inventory costs or how much inventory we're having to hold at a time. And then this other piece at the end too of opening up new markets. Like we've had people come on and say, here's how you sell in Europe. You've had somebody call and talk about here's sell in Mexico or other markets and things like that. Yeah. I know there's quite a few steps in there, quite a lot of bureaucracy and logistics that can be daunting to some entrepreneurs, but it sounds like this is a piece of that puzzle of if someone's, correct me if I'm wrong, maybe they're selling on Amazon now in the US, this could open up UK, Europe, or others to them, or they're selling through their website and this could be an option. Is that right?
Yeah. So for us, the website, like Shopify, WooCommerce, that's our main bread and butter.
That's the one.
We do Amazon, FBM, not
Sure.
FBA, obviously, right? So Amazon's a small part of our business, but DTC brands on their website is our core business.
Really doing it that way. Huh. And is it, I don't know if I'm sounding foolish here as I say this, but it's almost like the 3PL then is, it's overseas, it's next to the manufacturing, like you said, rather than it gets shipped and it sits in 3PL here in the US. That's a big part of the innovation. Is that right?
Exactly.
Wow, that's fascinating. You know what? I don't even know where else to take this, Izzy. Like, what should people be thinking about? How can people evaluate this and see if it's right for them?
Yeah, so we encourage people to crawl, walk, run. We take our job as logistics partner of our partners very seriously. So if you can reach out to us, you can say, okay, I want to test one SKU. To integrate with us is an app. Within 30 minutes, you're integrated and you have settings set up. Send us a SKU. We'll get it a day or 2 days later post production. You start testing orders. Wow, I was able to move inventory to cash days post production. Your customer has a 5-day delivery, and then you grow from there. And we're every brand that we work with, we always start with tests, and then they come fully on board. Now you might have a product that doesn't fit for us. For example, furniture doesn't fit, right? Because we need lots of orders per pallet for the economics to make sense. But as long as you're stuff in the lighter end, apparel, cosmetics, small accessories, small electronics, it's a no-brainer. And the way we say is shipping containers was a massive game changing to the whole world of manufacturing in the 1980s. And that is still great. It made the world a global world. You can move efficiently. But now that model still makes sense for physical retail. If you need the product on the shelf, then you have to have it in the country you're selling it in. But if you're in e-commerce, you're in DTC, where the customer's not literally pulling off a shelf, there's absolutely no reason to put in a boat. You're going to have delays. You're going to have import duties. You're going to have long lead times. You can't restock easily. This model is an absolute, now that it's fast and efficient over the last 2 to 3 years, it's a no-brainer.
Pretty amazing. It sounds like a lot of this, I can imagine, grew out of COVID and the pandemic and all the challenges with shipping and things like that. This is an end run around that of we saw the challenges with supply chain during the pandemic. This is a solution to that. Do I have that right?
Interesting enough that during the pandemic, we had so airplanes didn't have delays, boats did. Boats had delays by ports for weeks in advance. Planes didn't. Planes were going off every single day. This was, again, I was doing this since probably 2014. I started the business in 2012, did normal supply chain for 2 years, then 2014 this model. The reason, the evolution why it got so big and why now American brands could do it is actually because of the volume. There's over 1 million packages a day going all over around the world with this model. Now, when it was smaller, it wasn't as efficient. It wasn't as good. It took 3 weeks of delivery. It took Mandarin the tracking number. But because over year, compounding year over year, and with companies like Shein introducing huge fashion brands in this model, the sheer volume allowed the carriers to get more and more sophisticated to give a better experience to the end consumer. And it's because of this year over year volume increasing, efficiency getting advanced, that the last 2-3 years, this got really good. So this has actually been around way longer than COVID, but it's gotten really good the last 2-3 years.
There's been a breakthrough in it. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
The piece I don't understand, maybe it's neither here nor there, but some of the taxes and import taxes and tariffs of you're getting around those by doing this. I don't totally understand that.
Yeah. There's a rule called Section 321. You can Google it. It essentially says any package going to an end consumer is import duty free as long as the package value is under $800. So in this model, we ship it, we're shipping it to your end consumer. So that package, as long as it's under $800, no import duties. When you bring it by boat, it's coming in bulk to your business, which is not under Section 321, and then you're selling it. So you got to pay the import duties. People have actually doing this for many years out of Mexico and Canada. So there are fulfillment centers in Mexico and Canada that do this as well. And again, it applies to every country in the world, right? It's not only China. This model has been used for years. The advantage with our model is not only can you get Section 321, but all of a sudden you have inventory agility. Your inventory to cash is days, not months. So Section 321 has been around for a long time, and publicly traded companies are leveraging it for years. And that would allow us to put more money into the brand's account, go hire people, do more marketing, spend more money on places that can actually build your business versus stuck inventory.
Yeah, I love it. I think maybe we keep it short and sweet here. This is a very interesting option. I definitely recommend people check it out. I'm at portless.com. Great looking site, great stuff, more information on there. Anywhere else people can find you, Izzy, and follow what you're doing?
Absolutely. I'm very active on LinkedIn, very active on X. Feel free to follow me. Feel free to send me a DM, go to the Portless, submit a ticket. Our team will be in touch with you. We love the opportunity if anyone wants to learn more to see if our model can work for your brand as well.
That's very cool. I will say one thing about X. I'll show this here. I saw on this is Eli Weiss from, I saw Yotpo, or he's at Yotpo. Yep. Pinned tweet here. Not going to lie, Go Portless might be one of the most impressive startups I've seen in the last decade. Genius idea, incredible execution, wild traction, and project market fit, I'm guessing? PFM? Yeah. is legit building a rocket. So very excited about that. Excited to watch your journey and just to get to know you here, Izzy. Thanks so much for coming on and sharing what's working in e-commerce.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. It was an awesome talk about it.